all of the traditions, the spiritual traditions that are celebrated at this time and other times, use candles, using the light to represent the light of God. And so today we talk about celebrating the birth of the Christ consciousness. See, Christ was not a name that Jesus had when he was walking on this earth. His name was Yeshua ben Joseph. He was Yeshua, the son of Joseph. We then later named him the Christ, called him the Christ, because Christ is a term that means God in man. And it was determined that he was God on earth. He was a representation of the divine here on earth. So he was the Christed one. We now call him Jesus Christ, but it was Jesus the Christ they called him, or Yeshua, whatever language you use, Jesus if it's Spanish. And so its significance now is that we believe that at this time in history, that human beings are awakening to the divinity within them. There's something going on in this whole planet. There's a speeding up of vibrations, and it is creating what looks like chaos for a lot of people. It's really noticeable for me to notice that people that I call spiritual in our group are doing very well during this pandemic, this difficult time. They really are, because they know that their strength comes from within, that they are constantly connected with the divine, that solitude doesn't bother them, because they have cultivated the light within. And you do that by going within, spending time alone in silence with yourself. You may call it sitting, you may call it meditating, you may call it praying, but you're comfortable being with yourself. And you know you're never alone. You're never alone, because the Christ presence, the God presence is always with you.
So much of our desire to be busy, to do something, to have something to do, whether it's recreation, television, whatever, is a way of avoiding our perception of aloneness that isn't real. That is, we're really not alone. I'm more impressed every day when I meditate how not alone I am. Sometimes I feel like I need to clear the room. And there is so much more present. And lately I've been doing a lot of prayer treatment work for members of our center. And because I can't see them, I see them in my mind's eye. So I'm meditating and I'm seeing them in my mind's eye, and I'm seeing them in the condition that they are asking to be seen in. And I'm realizing that that can be true. But all of a sudden, something's been happening that's really interesting. I am standing there in my mind, looking at them being whole and complete and healthy and well. And I am surrounded by what looks like other souls supporting that also. And I've realized, what I'm actually doing is I'm connecting to, not only to those that are with me as a team effort to help, but I'm connecting with the team that is on the side of the person that I'm doing treatment for. And I suddenly realized the other day when I was doing treatment, we call it treatment prayer, treatment for a person, that there's a community at work here, and I'm a part of that community. And whoever speaks into that can draw that community together. And I thought, wow, this is so powerful. And the saddest thing is how alone we think we are when we're not.
And that some people watching this on video, will still be feeling that aloneness.
Oh, yeah.
And I know what that's like, because I was raised in a Christian tradition, and then I threw that all out at about age 19 and became agnostic for most of my 20s. And that feeling when I found a spiritual teaching that I could embrace in its entirety, because I couldn't handle embracing parts of a teaching and not others. But when I found one that I could embrace in its entirety, and I recognized it, like, yes, this is true. This is really what I believe. That sense of aloneness and fear and just emptiness is the best way to describe it. Just emptiness. That is part of the human condition. If there's no faith in the divine, there's no faith in the good. Faith, God is another term for good or love. If there's no faith in that, it's a pretty dismal world, actually. People people have difficulty just finding that inner sense of joy of knowing I am loved. I am protected. By protected, I mean I will die. Of course, we all die to our physical death, but I no longer believe that's a death or that's an end. That is a transition. That's a walking through another door, and it's easier. We're told from the spirit side, it's easier than being birthed on this planet.
The candle will finally end up being just a puddle,
Right? Yeah.
but the fire will never be gone. The fire will transform. The fire will become a different fire than it was. It won't be visible in the same way. But I think the biggest aha for me this week has been the realization that even in prayer, or especially in prayer, I am actually working with what I would have to call a group, a family, and that we are a family even though we don't know it. An example of that the other day is I was thinking about somebody who I haven't talked to in a while, and I went on Facebook and they just messaged me. And they messaged me within a minute of the time that I'd been thinking about them. And so were they communicating with me before I saw the message? Yes. Will we communicate? I might never have gone on Facebook. We would have still communicated. We would have still been in touch. We just wouldn't have known it was not the trouble. So I think this is a season to really pay attention to that being together, being connected as a part of our family. And for us to realize that the Christ consciousness that we're talking about is in all of us. And most important to me, the biggest discovery I made many years ago was when I heard Jesus was not the great exception, but the great example.
Yes, he was here to show us how to live this way.
That's powerful. And I've heard, somebody was telling me the other day, oh, I know what you believe. You believe that you're all God. Well, I said, yes, and would you like to be included? Because whether you like it or not, that means you too. And the inference was that it's an ego trip, that saying that you're God or that God is in you is just ego. Well, actually, God is in all of us in equal parts, except just like when I close my eyes and I see spirit, that doesn't mean when I open them, the spirit's not there. It just means I'm now looking with different eyes at a different world. We live in many different worlds, whether we know it or not. When we go into sleep, we go into a dream world. Is that world not real for us when we wake up from it? That world feels very real. It's in full color, things are happening that absolutely boggle the mind. I woke up the other night at 3 o'clock in the morning having a dream. And there was this good 3-minute dialogue just before I woke up. And as I woke up, I thought, who would write this kind of stuff? This is amazing. So here I am in a dream state with this. I felt like Alan Sorkin had written it. When I heard it, I thought, this is real. And in the middle of my dream, I'm thinking, this is good writing. This is really good. I could not write like that. This is a dream. So what world are we living in? Well, we're just living in a much bigger world than we think we're living in. And maybe that's one of the things we need to pay attention to is our world is just enormous and in depth and richness and wealth. The flame that we are, the fire that we are, is huge.
So I'm thinking about this topic again, this cultivating the light. When you have a garden and you want to cultivate it, you have to throw seeds into the grass and let the garden to come up. You have to till soil, prepare the soil, place fertilizer there, and plant the seeds, and then you can have a garden. But you have to cultivate the soil, and so we also have to cultivate our experience of the light within us. Jesus is purported to have said, "The Father and I are one." And that's what we believe, the Father and I are one. He did not say, but just for me only, not for you. He meant for all of us. And so we cultivate this practice with all the methods we've been talking about: prayer, meditation, spiritual mind treatment. Another way is community, because, he really stressed that we must also love our brothers as ourselves. And we must see then the Christ consciousness in others as well. We must see the divine in them. And it can be difficult at times, but it's so much easier. It's so much easier to really think, we're all on different paths. We're all here for different reasons to develop different parts of ourselves and have different experiences. We're not all the same and we don't have to be, but I still need to honor the divine within each person and their own particular path, even if their path right now is to be an agnostic and not to be aware of spirit within at all. See, it doesn't change the fact that spirit is with them. They're just not aware of it. And if they're not aware of it, they don't get the benefits of that. They don't get the comfort of that. But if that's their choice, that they have a right to that choice. And I believe that they'll know the truth eventually. Maybe even once they make a transition.
Or we will know a different truth, or we will see things we haven't seen. We're all in this together, and we don't have it figured out. We're learning it together, and each of us is learning their own vocabulary for this thing called the truth, and we're living often within that vocabulary without even realizing it. So what we need to do is to be open, if we will, as Ernest Holmes, I think, said, open at the top, open for the next revelation, for the next enlightenment. And the more open you are, the more places you'll find that's happening. A number of our members have sent us videos to watch of things that are going on in the world, and some of which I think may or may not be going on the way it seems to be being presented. But these perspectives help you see another world, and somewhere in between what people have recorded, what they've said is happening, and what may be happening may be very different, but we have a chance to see a bigger world. And I so appreciate the opportunity to see the world in a larger and larger way.
So I wanted to discuss this concept of giving to one another, though, because as we recognize the divine in others, it encourages us to give our love to them, our support to them, our kindness, our smile. Just be aware of giving, because as you give, it does come back to you. As you give, you get more. And this is also true in our prosperity. You need to give generously to the source of your inspiration, whatever that is. And I know people who tithe to waitresses and magazines, and where they get their inspiration. And I think that's great. It's just important to support and give where you get, and then you get more. So we are including in our talk a brief moment where we all do a prosperity affirmation. And at this time, we also like to invite you to support our center if you care to do so. And you can do that by going to our website, and there's a button that says ways to donate. Or it's also our address is on our website, our phone number's on the website. So it's pretty easy to do. And that website is CSL, that stands for Center for Spiritual Living, CSLPalmBeaches.org. So I'm going to do a screen share now, so we all can, if I can find the cursor, so that we all can share this affirmation at our own space. And it says, my investment today is made with the full realization that God is the source of my supply and returns it to me enriched and multiplied. And so it is.
I want to reaffirm that. See if we can get our screen back. Okay. Giving because you can to whatever, and I say giving, give a smile, give a laugh, give a comment where maybe you would normally be more reserved. If you're at the shopping store, you stop at the store and you're shopping, and you see something that a person doing something that is nice or nice to see, say something about it. If you see something good, say something. If you see something that you like, comment on it or engage it if you can, or admire it in your mind if you can't do it otherwise, because this process of giving and is a process also of opening the doors and saying, I'm available for all that is good to come to me. And I really believe the more I give, the more room I make for more receiving. And I think when we start not being able to do that, we really limit ourselves. So this is not just about receiving. This is about giving to receive, giving because it feels good, because giving in and of itself is also nurturing and nourishing. I remember reading a story a long time ago, and I think I saw it in a movie too, where the character was in terrible pain, and the mentor said, go out and help somebody who was in pain. And they said, well, how is that going to help? And came back afterwards and said, oh, wow, this really did help, because it wasn't until they became a helper that they could set their own pain aside and they could experience themselves in a different way.
So I just put the website in the chat, and I see there are other comments from people on the chat. And someone's asking.
I'm sorry.
Turn the volume up. Yes. I'm sorry. Did you change our volume?
No, yeah, I did. I turned it up. Yeah.
You turned it up.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So, and back to giving. As you give, and I know many of you give, and there were many people attending today that were someone else told them about it. That's giving. That's sharing. And so we give, and then it is returned to us, pressed down, flowing over, and multiplied. But I love this idea that that your giving is an investment in your prosperity, because it's a big circulation. It's a big circulation. But if you start thinking, I don't have enough to give or to share, it stops the flow. So I'd like for you to think of, if you support us or other people, other places where you get your inspiration, think of it as an investment in your prosperity, and in your spiritual growth.
I thought of it when Ronna Ray introduced her sister Sina to us, and then seeing Sina and her cat and her life, and another whole dimension of life has been added to our family as a result of that gift. So Rana's gift of Sina to our family was a gift to her, a gift to Sina, and a gift to all of us. So as we give to each other, and we give each other the opportunity to become friends and to care about each other, our world is enriched, our world is made stronger, our world is made better.
So we are just a few days away from this the culmination of the holiday season, but also tomorrow, Monday, is the winter solstice.
Yeah.
That was I had trouble with that word. The winter solstice. It is the shortest day of the year, and many people celebrate that as a turning point for the return of the light. And this year we have something that hasn't happened, I think, in like 800 years, which is that there will appear to be like a Christmas star in the sky. It's actually Jupiter and Saturn closer than they've been in 800 years, and it will appear as one big bright light. So you might want to go out Monday night, tomorrow night, the 21st, and look up into the sky and see if you can see what's being called the Christmas star.
You want to talk about our service Sunday?
Oh, thank you. Yes. We're also going to have a special holiday season special sacred service on Wednesday night, the 23rd. I just sent out an email about it yesterday, and many of you got it, and I put the wrong date. I did say Wednesday night, but I said the 24th, but it will be the 23rd. And it's called a Taizé service. A Taizé stands for a town in France called Taizé. It's where this kind of service developed. And it's just a prayerful, contemplative, meditative, soft singing of chants, which you can do at home. No one will hear your voice. We were gifted with a beautiful video creation that Reverend Donna Michael created. She is a singer, composer, and minister, and she has created a beautiful candle lighting, crystal bowl ringing, a service, and our practitioners and Bob and I will participate by readings about the 7 attributes of God. which we honor in God and in us. But it would, if you would like to just have another way of cultivating your awareness of the spiritual light, um, we invite you to attend with us Wednesday evening. The link for that, because it is in the email that I'll send out, but not everybody will get an email. I don't have everyone's email address. You can just go to the link that's on our website. And again, I put the website, cslpalmbeaches.org, in the chat. It's when you just first go to the website, you'll see that link, and you could join us Wednesday night at 7 o'clock.
And Donna Michaels actually did the reading and the music and the background for the poem on my Diary of a Mindful Dog site. If you have a chance to go to that and scroll. If not for you, I wrote the poem. She read it and actually did the music and arranged it and all of that. Really quite an artful thing. Very talented person. So if you get a chance to check that out, you might enjoy that. It's also, I think, a poem you'll enjoy reading.
And she lives in Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah.
And so I think now it's time for us to close with a closing affirmative prayer, or spiritual mind treatment, as we call it. So just go within and join us and know, as I speak my word, know the truth about yourself too. And as I say I, affirm the I for yourself. So I know right here, right now, that there is but one source of all life. It exists in multiple dimensions, in multiple ways. It expresses through the animal kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the human kingdom, and who knows in what other kingdoms. But it is the creative source of life, and it is always creating. It creates in us, through us, as us. And so today we create a lovely holiday season for ourselves. We know this year is different. There are many things we like to do that we're unable to do this season because of safety. We honor our safety. We give thanks for our safety and our well-being. And we give thanks for this ability to know the light within us, to be nurtured by this light within us, and to know it is the presence of God within us. So knowing this, we give thanks, we release, and together we say, and so it is. Which, by the way, is the meaning of amen, which is why we just translate it. And it's like a little punch to your affirmative prayer. So Bob is ending the recording now.
And then we can go to.
Did you end the recording? I didn't see it. It would be there.
Yeah, I did.